In 1879, an amateur archaeologist was excavating the dirt floor of a cave in northern Spain. While he worked, his 8-year-old daughter, Maria, wandered into the deeper chambers, looked up at the ceiling, and told her father she saw painted bulls. What she had found was the polychrome ceiling. Hidden in the dark was a canopy of vibrant red and black bison, horses, and deer, rendered with impossible detail. After studying the pigments and the ancient tools nearby, the archaeologist Marcelino Sans de Sautuola made a claim that shocked the public. These paintings were the work of Paleolithic humans. This discovery did not immediately rewrite history. Instead, it ignited a bitter scientific war. Sautuola had stumbled upon a truth that the society of his time was not prepared to hear. The 19th century scientific establishment responded with immediate hostility. Leading experts dismissed the findings as a hoax, and some even accused Sautuola of hiring a contemporary artist to paint the cave on his orders. At the time, Victorian evolutionary theory suggested that early humans were primitive and brutish. They were viewed as unthinking hunters, entirely focused on survival and incapable of the abstract thought required for art. Altamira upended this timeline. It placed sophisticated art tens of thousands of years before experts believed humans were capable of producing it, shattering the rigid models used to track human development. Victorian researchers rejected the site to insulate their own theories. By labeling Altamira a forgery, they protected an established worldview that could not account for prehistoric genius. The silence lasted until 1902, when similar paintings were discovered in France. Faced with undeniable evidence, the leading critics were forced to publish a formal retraction, finally acknowledging that Altamira was authentic. It was a hollow victory for Sautuola. He had died in disgrace 14 years earlier, his name uncleared and his research ridiculed. Modern dating has since revealed that Altamira is even more complex than Sautuola suspected. It is a palimpsest, a continuous archive where layers of art were added by different groups over 20,000 years. It began 36,000 years ago with simple Aurignacian marks. Later, Solutrean groups added their own figures, and finally, the famous Magdalenian polychromes were layered on top, creating a deep stack of cultural history. Creating this art was an immense challenge. The artists worked deep within the cave's dark zone, far from any natural light, relying on the flickering light of animal fat lamps to see their canvas. They used the cave's natural architecture to their advantage. By painting over the cracks, bumps, and facets of the rock, they gave their animals a three-dimensional, muscular volume that seemed to leap off the ceiling. They ground up hematite and charcoal to create rich pigments, applying them with brushes or blowing them through reeds to create shading and realistic textures. While the exact meaning is debated, many researchers see these works as tools for sympathetic magic. By rendering the bison in such vivid detail, the artists may have been attempting to influence the hunt or honor the spirits of the animals. Beyond the animals, we find handprints, negative images created by blowing pigment around a hand held against a wall. These are the earliest, most direct signatures of our ancestors. These intentional techniques and shared symbols suggest a community focused on more than just survival. They were using the deep dark of the cave as a space for complex, nonverbal communication. For 13,000 years, the art remained pristine because a massive rockfall had sealed the interior, maintaining a perfectly stable microclimate. That stability vanished in the mid-20th century. As tourism boomed, up to 3,000 people were flooding into the cave every week, bringing with them heat and moisture the cavern couldn't handle. This influx triggered a biological crisis. Carbon dioxide from visitors allowed mold to grow, threatening the paintings. Scientific studies identified a clear link. Humidity and gases from tourists were destabilizing the environment, causing the ancient pigments to fade. Altamira faced a tragic paradox. The massive effort to celebrate and study the cave was the primary thing destroying it. Today, the cave is almost entirely sealed. Access is limited to 5 lottery winners per week, wearing specialized suits to prevent contaminating the air. To allow the public to see the art, the government commissioned the Neocave, a laser-scanned replica built nearby that preserves the experience without risking the original. The history of Altamira is a journey of changing lenses. It moved from its creation in the dark, through Victorian denial, into modern damage, and finally into high-tech preservation. The painted bison on the ceiling demonstrate that the drive to communicate across time is a 36,000-year-old constant. The painters in the dark shared our own capacity for expression, reminding us that we are part of the same human story.